Hi, this is Jeff Curto, and welcome to episode number 129 of Camera Position, the podcast about the creative side of photography. As a photographer for so long, so many years, one of the things I've discovered about myself as an image maker, as a creator of photographs, is that I prefer to concentrate on the detail. The detail for me is the thing that tells the story, and the thing that adds meaning to my photographs. One of the things that I've discovered is that there's almost no detail too small, almost nothing too insignificant to me to make a picture of. And I tend very much to concentrate on just the smaller details of things to end up telling what I think is a more detailed story about the object in question. Let me give you an example. And I'll include this image I'm about to describe both on cameraposition.com on the blog and also in the app for those of you who are using the app. This is a photograph that I made on the backside of one of my favorite buildings. In fact, I would say it is my very favorite building of all time, the Pantheon in Rome. The Pantheon in Rome, one of the world's most important buildings architecturally, and the oldest continuously in use building in the world. A really fascinating building that I've photographed many times, and I've often photographed the very well-known facade of the building with its pediment top and its massive columns. One day, though, I discovered that I was sort of walking along the street that is behind the Pantheon, the back of the Pantheon, a street that is fairly small, not terribly well traveled, a few shops along the opposite side of the street. But one day there I was, and the light was raking across this fluted column. Now, what's interesting is that unless I told you that this was the Pantheon, you really wouldn't know that it was. I mean, you would know that it was a column, and you would know that it was in a particular sort of angled light, but you wouldn't necessarily see it as this marvelous and incredibly important building, the important building that it is. But it is that detail that shows the thing that fascinates me most about making photographs of architecture, especially making photographs of buildings that have been around for a long time, like the Pantheon. And that is that sort of sense that this was something that has been made with care, made by hand, and has survived the ravages of the ages. So all of the little chips, all of the little bits and pieces that are missing, that contribute to the texture, that contribute to the feeling of this object, those are the things that drew me to the object in the first place, that drew me to the photograph, and that caused me to spend a good 45 minutes or so making photographs on the backside of the Pantheon. And I'm certain that a lot of people probably walked by. In fact, I saw some of them sort of looking at what it was that I was photographing, trying to imagine what sort of photographic reality I was finding in that spot, and discovering that the thing that I was finding was perhaps to them insignificant, but to me, the thing that I was finding gave me everything that I would want in a photograph of the Pantheon on that particular day, in that particular quality of light. And that is this sense that the small detail of this one little section of a massive column and the way the light rakes across it and the shadows that it produces, those things all really kind of sung to me, gave me that impetus to make the photograph in the first place. As longtime listeners to Camera Position will know, I have long been a fan of the great photographer Ansel Adams. I'd had the good fortune to take a workshop with him in 1983, and it was a revelatory experience, not only studying with him, but studying his photographs over these years. You know, Adams has certainly got his share of detractors as well as his share of fans. The detractors often talk about the way in which his photographs will sometimes be a little overblown. And when they talk about those things, I often try to point them to some of the pictures that I will include on the camera position blog page and in the app. And some of those are these really beautiful, quiet photographs, oftentimes what I would think of as still life images that are made along the forest floor that really are not the sort of grandiose images that Adams is probably best known for, but more quiet, intimate glimpses of small detail. And I think that early influence from Adams has certainly played an influential aspect in my development as an observer of detail in images, an observer of the details of the world. I'll include a couple of those great Ansel Adams small, intimate glimpses of the natural world in the cameraposition.com blog and also in the Camera Position app, so you can get a sense of what I'm talking about. But I think Adams did in the natural world what I'm attempting to do with the architectural world in this photograph that I'm describing for you. So I guess what I'm encouraging you to do here is to put away the panoramic tripod head. No, don't stop taking panoramic pictures. Don't stop taking those great establishing shots that give us a sense of place and our place in the world and where we are and the grand sweep of the landscape. But do start looking closer, more closely at the details of the world and see if you can make the details of the photographic frame tell a larger story. Tell the story about, as in my case, the evidence of those hands that sculpted that stone into this beautiful column those many, many years ago. See if you can figure out a way to have the detail tell the larger story and establish some sense of meaning through the use of detail. Thanks for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Camera Position, the podcast about the creative side of photography.